at the very start of the National Transport Month, a train collision, yet another train collision, injuring a number of people. How's the Minister responding to this particular incident?
Well, let's get into it, Xoli. Let's find out from the Minister of Transport exactly what could have transpired yesterday when we saw that over 300 people were taken to various hospitals because of this unfortunate incident in Kempton Park. Minister, give us a response first and foremost. Is there one that is not necessarily a reactive response from the Transport Minister to make sure that such incidents do not happen?
Look, we're very concerned, and deeply disturbed, obviously, about what happened last night and other incidents, That is why, for me, is the most important thing now is really to make some key interventions to stabilize PRASA and the metro rail system. And the starting point, frankly, is to have stable senior management. We have never had that in PRASA for a very long time. So I can tell you now there are about 7 positions where people are acting, including head of security, including technical sections of PRASA and so on. And some of these problems are as a result of the challenges in the infrastructure. So I think that we can be able to turn this around if we start by stabilizing management. The second thing also that is important, which we agreed upon with PRASA, is that what we have done over the last 8 to 10 years is focus more on ordering trains. Yet our fixed infrastructure is not actually in line with the amount of coaches and trains that we are buying. For instance, I was in Mamelodi this morning. There's only one platform in Mamelodi. It's an extremely busy station. We should be having at least 2 platforms, if not a multi-platform station. As a result, the trains are congested, and so on. So we agreed that we also need to do infrastructure. But most importantly as well, I do need to say that creating a viable, affordable, accessible public transport system, including passenger rail, we need a partnership between government, private sector, and communities. For example, one thing positive about Mamelodi is that PRASA, Metro Rail, have signed a social compact with community and even political organizations. Earlier this year, I think it was around May, and since they've done that, they haven't had a single vandalization or destruction of rail property and so on. So the partnership, and to say to our communities, look after PRASA property because it's your property that you actually use. So those are the things that if we can work together in that way, we can actually even minimize these unnecessary train crashes that we are having. And I am quite confident also, having seen the new trains, I wish that we would have had those trains when also our infrastructure would have been much more seriously upgraded, is that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, These trains are faster, they are much more safer, they are cleaner. I've been pleased to be told that, even passengers, they discourage each other from eating inside these planes because they look so nice and clean and so on, which is actually very important, that we can be able to change the system because no matter what the problems we have now and these crashes, the fact of the matter is that, of the ground transport, rail transport still remains the safest.
And it also is the transport that carries the chunk or the bulk of commuters in South Africa. Are you having any plans of maybe visiting the people that have been affected by this tragedy yesterday?
Yes, unfortunately, by the way, PRASA has gone down in terms of the numbers that it's carrying. Because of the problems we've had, there's been an increase now in the numbers of people who travel by taxis, minibus taxis, many of whom would like to have remained in the rail. Of course, from here, I am going to launch formally the October Transport Month now, and from there we're going to be visiting. Fortunately, the few people who have actually been admitted to hospital, because there were over 300 casualties, but fortunately, overwhelmingly, they were just very light injuries, not very serious. But we're going to visit those who are in hospital to give them courage and also to say to them, government does care and government is committed to actually improving our mode of transport, including rail passenger transport, so that people are safer.
And just going and touching on the kicking off of the Transport Month, Minister, what are we doing differently this year?
Well, first of all, we're going to be putting a lot more emphasis on partnership between communities and government, especially on areas of public transport, all of them. And also, government has always been doing this, but we want to up the stake in terms of involving more of the stakeholders. For instance, with the minibus taxi industry, we are very pleased that they've got, I think it's called Hlomela, which is their program to reduce road crashes on the side of the minibus taxis. We want to actually encourage those to actually say, let us also focus and be partners in all of this. And also, I think what we have not been doing is to show the positive side. There are many weaknesses and challenges, I don't want to lie, in our public transport system. But also there are lots of positive things, that are happening. For instance, now I'm seeing more newer minibus taxis than your old Skoro ones. That's progress that we actually need to show, as well as these new trains that are actually being bought, as well as looking and much more engagement with other modes like the bus industry and so on. But our goal still remains, which is what we want to use this transport month as well, to underline the fact that we would like to move more passengers and freight away from road to rail.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your time.
Thank you very much.
That, of course, is the Minister of Transport.